It's lovely to see you all. It's a real pleasure to be here as a British Member of Parliament to speak to you all this afternoon about this critical issue that is so important to all of you, but is so important to all of us across the whole of Europe. This is not just a building over here. It's supposed to represent a promise. The promise that every citizen has rights. A promise that governments cannot do whatever they like. A promise that courts must serve justice, not power. A promise that democracy is more than a word politicians use when it suits them. And today we're here because that promise is being broken to the people of Turkey. We are here because elected mayors have been removed. We are here because opposition politicians have been jailed. We are here because peaceful protesters have been met with batons, tear gas, and imprisonment. We are here because journalists, lawyers, students, human rights defenders, and ordinary citizens have been treated as enemies of the state simply for speaking out. And we are here because silence is not neutrality. A recent court decision to remove Özgür Özel and the leadership of the CHP was not a normal legal process. It was an extraordinary interference in the democratic life of the main opposition party. A political party must be chosen by its members, not by a court acting under government pressure. The people must choose their representatives, not the government. And when the courts are used to decide who may lead the opposition, then democracy itself is on trial. We have also seen the continued imprisonment of Ekrem İmamoğlu, the elected mayor of Istanbul, a man with a clear democratic mandate from millions of citizens. His imprisonment is not only an attack on one individual, it is an attack on every voter who chose him. It is an attack on democracy. It is an attack on the idea that governments can be peacefully challenged, peacefully changed, and peacefully held to account. And that is why this matters far beyond Turkey. Because authoritarianism never starts by announcing itself honestly. It does not say, we are ending democracy today. It starts by attacking the courts. It starts by smearing the opposition. It starts by calling journalists traitors. It starts by saying protesters are extremists. It starts by using the law not to protect citizens, but to frighten them. And then, step by step, the space for freedom gets smaller. But the courage of the Turkish people has not got smaller. We have seen students take to the streets. We have seen lawyers defend the rule of law. We have seen journalists continue to report. And we have seen women's groups, trade unions, civil society organisations, Kurdish voices, LGBT activists, human rights defenders, and opposition parties refuse to be silenced. We have seen people stand up for democracy even when the cost is high. The courage deserves more than warm words from Europe. It deserves action. The Council of Europe must be clear. Turkey is a member of this organisation. That means Turkey has obligations. The European Convention on Human Rights is not optional. The judgments of the European Court on Human Rights are not suggestions. Freedom of expression is not a luxury. Peaceful assembly is not a favour to be granted by the state. Judicial independence is not a technical detail. These are the foundations of democratic life. And when those foundations are attacked, this institution must respond. The Council of Europe Commissioner for Human Rights has called for reform to protect freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and association and judicial independence. Those calls must not gather dust on a shelf. They must become pressure and they must become scrutiny. So we need the release of political prisoners. We need the full implementation of the European Court of Human Rights judgments. We need to end the persecution of opposition politicians, mayors, lawyers, journalists, and civil society. We need the restoration of the democratic mandates that have been overturned by political interference. We need the judges to be independent of the government and the executive. And we need every European government to understand this. Democracy in Turkey is not an internal inconvenience. It is a European issue. Because Turkey's citizens are part of our European family. because Turkey is bound by human rights obligations. Because the people of Turkey have every right to live in a country where your vote matters. Courts are independent and speaking freely does not put you in danger. And I want to say this clearly to you all now. This is not a speech against the Turkish people. This is a speech for the Turkish people, our great friends. For the millions who voted, for the families who want justice, for the young people who want a future, and for the journalists who report the truth, for the lawyers who want the law to mean something, and for mayors who were elected and then removed, for the prisoners who should be free, and for the protesters like yourselves who refuse to give up. For those protesting today, I say this: you are not alone. Your voices are heard, your courage is seen, your demand is just. You are standing here not just for one party, but for all of us. You are standing for the basic principle that power must answer to the people. That is democracy. That is the rule of law. That is what the Council of Europe was created to defend. So let the message from Strasbourg be clear. To President Erdogan and his government, release political prisoners, respect democratic mandates, stop using the courts to crush opposition, uphold the rights Turkey has promised to protect. To the Council of Europe, I say, do not look away. Use every mechanism available. Defend your own principles. And to European governments, do not trade away human rights for short-term convenience. Our values mean nothing if we only defend them when it's easy. And to the people of Turkey, your fight for democracy is our fight too. Across Europe, we have learned that democracy is never guaranteed. It must be defended, it must be renewed, it must be protected from those who would hollow it out from within. Today, outside the Council of Europe, we stand together in that defence for justice, for democracy, for the rule of law, for the freedom of Turkey, and for a Europe that lives up to its promises. Thank you.